Question. Is it possible to have some insight about self-respect? Mainly, what self does oneself refer to when wanting or trying to demand or achieve? I assume it means demand or achieve self-respect. What are the dynamics of that? So, self-respect. Well, let's first talk about why you might not have self-respect. I personally, for some reason, respect really wasn't a big concern for me. I wasn't going around growing up thinking I respected these persons or I wanted other people to respect me. It was just not that big of an issue. But there came a point where I had an epiphany. This was late 1990s. And it just came to me the words, you don't accept yourself. And I think that's somewhat parallel. You don't respect yourself. You don't accept yourself. And so what I have explained in several videos is that we have these subconscious cells we have created. They reside in the subconscious mind. And they were created in reaction to difficult, very traumatic situations on Earth. So in terms of self-respect, in the past, we are likely to have been exposed to people who are deliberately trying to put us down, deliberately trying to destroy us psychologically and make us feel we were no good, we were not worth anything. I have several videos where I talk about this dynamic with avatars and beings called fallen beings who see us as a threat, see spirituality and spiritual people as a threat, and want to put us down so we don't dare to stand up to them. But that's a longer story that I won't go into here. But you have most likely been exposed in past lives to people who did not respect you, didn't respect your right to be here and to be who you are, and who wanted to control you and put you down and basically destroy you. And how did you deal with that traumatic situation? You dealt with it by creating one or probably several of these subconscious selves. And they can take various forms, these selves, but a very common scenario is you are, in the beginning, when you come to Earth, you are just an innocent being. You come here with the best of intentions, you want to help, you want to make the Earth a better place. Suddenly you're exposed to somebody who doesn't respect what you are doing, doesn't respect your right to be here, they don't want you to be here, so they're trying to put you down by accusing you that you have done something wrong, or you are simply wrong, you are a bad person and you shouldn't be here. So they're disrespecting you, they're putting you down. And the first time we experience this, it's a big shock. It really is a big shock. And so and it's unbearable, it's an unbearable shock. So in order to deal with it, we create this subconscious self to cover over the sense of shock. And part of the mechanism is, we were surprised by this, so we never want to be surprised again. And so this creates this self that, in a sense, is always projecting, underlying. We're not consciously aware of this, most of us, but it's always projecting that you shouldn't be too sure of yourself. You shouldn't really think that people respect you, and you shouldn't have too high of an opinion about yourself. Basically, the self is projecting you shouldn't respect yourself. Because what happened was, we came here with a natural self-respect. We respected ourselves, we knew we were good beings, we knew we had a right to come here. And so all of a sudden that self-respect is put down and damaged, and this is very painful, the loss of self-respect. So we're saying, well, if I never allow myself to have this self-respect again, then I can't be hurt. So there's always this self that's projecting, you shouldn't feel too sure about yourself, don't be cocky, don't feel superior to others. And that means that from that moment on, you don't have the natural self-respect. It was like I said, I realized I didn't accept myself. I didn't accept my right to be here on Earth and to be who I am here on earth and express it. I couldn't accept that I had a right to be here at the time. I can now. So whatever it is for you individually, whether it's self-respect or something else like acceptance, or you can't love yourself, there is that mechanism. So basically, what is it that feels the lack of respect, that doesn't have respect for yourself? It's this subconscious self. And the subconscious self is based on this trauma, and the trauma, it caused you to have a limited view of the situation. And therefore, the self is based on an illusion. And as I describe in several other videos, so I talk about these subconscious selves, we can come to see the illusion and therefore let the self die. And this is the amazing thing about this teaching, which the Ascended Masters have given, because what does the self project? So you have one subconscious self that projects. You shouldn't be too cocky. You shouldn't feel respect for yourself. And that's projecting that other people aren't respecting you. But then you have another subconscious self that projects that, well, but other people should respect you. And if you do this or do that or do the third thing, they will respect you. So in a sense, you are in this catch-22, where one self is trying to put you down, another self is trying to get you to do something to get other people's respect. Because the self is projecting, if you just do something decisive, you'll get people's respect. If you solve the problem, you will get respect. And if you get other people's respect, you will have self-respect. And this is the catch-22. You're never going to get out of it. The only way out of it is to stand back and realize these are just separate selves that are projecting this. They are based on an illusion. There's no reality in it whatsoever. And instead of trying to solve the problem, you just let the selves die. And what's going to happen when you let this self die that projects that you shouldn't respect yourself, you will naturally return to this state of innocence where you do have a natural self-respect. Why? Because when you overcome the separate selves that caused you to be trapped in this state of separation, you're going to reconnect to your higher self, to your I am presence. You're going to realize you are not a physical human being. You are a spiritual being. And you're not bound by anything on earth. You're not defined by anything on earth. Meaning, your self-respect does not depend on anything on earth. It doesn't depend on other people's opinions. But you see what I'm saying? When you are trapped in these subconscious selves, it's like looking through colored glasses. It's a perception filter. And you can't see that you are not defined by anything on earth. You think you are defined by something on earth, and therefore you think it's important to have other people's respect so that you can have respect for yourself. But when you step outside of that perception filter, let the self die, you naturally return to just an awareness of who you are. And then you will naturally have self-respect. It will not depend on other people. It will not depend on being famous in the world. All of a sudden, these things just fade away. You know who you are. You know you're not defined by anything on earth, so why would you need other people's approval? As I said, for me it was more acceptance than respect, but in the beginning I felt that the only way I could really accept myself is that if other people accepted me. Because the reason why I lost my ability to accept myself was that other people put me down or they weren't listening to me. So I wasn't helping them. And so they just ignored me. And so I thought if I could get them to listen to me and I can really help them, then they will accept me and then I can accept myself. And it's again an impossible dynamic. Once you step outside of all these artificial selves, these separate selves, and just let them fade away, let them die, you return to a connection to your higher self. And this is the only way to have self-respect or to accept yourself or to love yourself, is to feel that from your higher self. It's like you can say that on earth, people have created, and I talk about this in many videos with the duality consciousness, they've created a false idea of respect or love or acceptance or whatever it is. It's dualistic. It has opposite polarities. So you can have respect or disrespect. But it's just defined here on earth. It has no reality in a greater context in the spiritual realm. So once you step outside of that whole bubble, you just experience. You're not experiencing self-respect as an opposition to no respect. You're just experiencing the reality of who you are, really. It has no opposite. Real self-respect comes from your higher self. Your higher self is beyond the world. It's in the spiritual realm. It has no opposite. Real love has no opposite. Hatred is not the opposite of real love. It's the opposite of human dualistic love. And that's when you experience, when you get rid of these selves, then you just feel the love, the acceptance, the respect from your higher self. And when you make contact with the ascended masters, you feel it from them also. And all of a sudden it fades away, what you get from other people. You don't need to get anything from other people. And that's a process. It can be a difficult process to go through, but it is possible, and I've talked about it in several videos. So it's just a matter of looking at those videos and seeing how this applies to you. Because I guarantee you that you can come to that point where self-respect is no longer an issue. You just have it naturally. Now you can also look at it from a slightly different perspective, where you can say that if you're talking about here as a human being embodied on earth, I want to have self-respect. But how do you see yourself? As I said, most people, we have created these subconscious selves, the separate selves. So we are seeing ourselves through the filter of these separate selves, meaning we see ourselves as separate beings. So again, we are thinking that one of these separate selves is going to give us respect. But it can never do it. It can never happen that way. You cannot actually, if you think about it, the situation you have if you don't have self-respect is you have at least two selves. You have the separate self that projects that you don't have respect, or that you're not worthy of respect. And then you have the core of your being, the conscious you. And as long as you are seeing yourself through the filter of that separate self, you'll experience that you're not worthy of respect. So what you need to do is step outside of that self and realize there were two selves here, but the one is unreal. But you, the conscious you, you're real. And once you return to that experience of yourself as real and as pure awareness, you just experience that you are an undivided being all of a sudden. And it's only when there's a division in your being, you are a house divided against yourself, as Jesus said, that there can be a lack of a positive quality. But once you overcome the division, so there's only one self, you are experiencing the respect from your higher self. And it's really the only way to overcome any problem, however it is for you individually. A lot of people I have met have a sense of unworthiness. You're not worthy. You're not good enough according to some standard. But that's again because you have a separate self that believes there's a standard in this world. So if you live up to this standard, you are worthy of respect, or you are worthy to be here. And if you don't, then you're not worthy. And once you step outside of these separate selves, you realize the standard is a complete fabrication. It's an illusion. It's unreal. It's just created out of this dualistic consciousness with the two opposite polarities. And Your higher self doesn't think dualistically. The ascended masters don't think dualistically. So once you experience that, you are free from this. It just drops away from you. And that's how you are filled with a positive quality, whether it's respect or something else. So I know this may sound abstract, but I have given quite a few other videos where I talk about overcoming these subconscious selves. So if it's important for you, watch those and see where that takes you.